Okay then, Jess, we take a look at these two setups now. The left-hand one was your before. As we said in the session, very, very good setup, good dynamic in terms of your posture there and your knee flex. Everything else is obviously very, very good, as expected for someone who got down to the level of handicap you got to. Thing to focus for me now and your sort of work to go away with and practice now, more looking at your takeaway. You can see now as your hands go back on this takeaway now, they're kind of moving outwards towards this red line. And as a result of the hands moving in this direction on a sort of outward path, your right forearm now is kind of rolling and folding the clubs, which is the club sort of gets to about halfway back there. The gap there between your hands and the club head, that club head now is whipped quite along inside. Now what we tend to see on a more higher handicappers level with this fault, they'll just dump the club back over the top. What you do, obviously as a decent player, you use your right forearm and sort of start closing the club face, added to a little bit over the top. That's where that sort of like pulley hooky one comes in. And then if you try to stop that on the way down by holding the club face off, you get that kind of weak, slappy, blocky one out to the right. So the feeling you've got to really focus on now, if we take a look at this right hand one, this sort of drills we were talking about now in the session, you can see now as the hands go back, they're working back, kind of what we call the shaft now, working back, or the club head should I say, working up the shaft line here. We can see a nice sort of movement of the hands working into the legs, the club head now staying outside the hands, just basically getting that club on a much better plane going back, requiring less rotation on the way down. So we look at this position here and compare that movement to there, just in terms of where your left arm is, where the club is in relation to you, compared to it being out here and the club whipped inside quite a bit. So more kind of connected, much more kind of structurally efficient swing for your takeaway. Okay, so that's going to be the drill you're going to be sort of feeding there. I think we said about putting an alignment stick or something you can get there through the handle of the golf club. Make some practice swing. And if you were to do this, the alignment stick now sort of rub down your left thigh there towards your left knee, as that club, as we can see, works up the shaft line nicely, getting that club really, really nicely on plane at the top of the backswing. So that's the kind of rehearsal. I think the key thing is now, when we set up the golf ball, is not to then overthink the swing. We just sort of set up, having done 3 or 4 rehearsals, and then just go at the golf ball. And hopefully what we'll see, as we do in this case, the club now works back. If we look where the handle of the club gets to, halfway back, it's moved a little bit inside, which is to be expected. But if we compare the two positions there now, your left arm is certainly more under the shoulder, and the club now is less behind your hands compared to where it was there now, with that left arm kind of pushing out. So work on that takeaway. Keep that club in a much more kind of straighter, stronger position. Require a lot less manipulation on the way down. And hopefully with a bit of practice, that'll become a much more natural move for you to make, leading to a lot more consistent ball flights and hopefully getting your ball strike back without the fear of that golf ball kind of hooking way to the left, as you said. So I hope that all makes sense then, Jeff. Any questions, obviously give me a shout, but I'll see you again soon. Cheers.